Welcome back. Breaking news. Here it is. This Georgia woman at the center of a daycare murder trial. Here is her mugshot. We covered this extensively here on HLN. Has been arrested in connection with her husband's murder. That is Andrea Snyderman's mugshot. She was indicted on 8 counts, including attempted murder. Her lawyer denies those charges. Rusty Snyderman, her husband, was gunned down 2 years ago in the parking lot of a daycare center in suburban Atlanta after dropping his sons off at the daycare. Prosecutors announced those charges today. Take a listen.
On November the 18th, Hemi Newman shot and murdered Rusty Snyderman, a 36-year-old businessman and a father of 2 precious young children, in a parking lot of his son's daycare in Dunwoody, Georgia. Today at 10 a.m., a DeKalb County grand jury returned an 8-count indictment for his wife, Andrea Snyderman. Ms. Snyderman was placed under arrest earlier today and is currently being booked into the DeKalb County jail. The indictment returned by the grand jury earlier today is being filed with the DeKalb County Superior Court clerk. Now, outlined in that indictment are outlined in that 19-page indictment are 8 counts that I, along with Chief Assistant Don Gary, are prepared to argue in a court of law.
In March, Snyderman's former boss, Hemi Newman, was convicted of killing her husband. Hemi Newman admits pulling the trigger, but says he did not know right from wrong at the time. He told his attorneys, you may remember this, that angels and demons resembling Olivia Newton-John and Barry White told him to kill Rusty Snyderman. Prosecutors say Newman had an affair with Andrea Snyderman. She denied it, even on the stand. Rusty Snyderman's family released a statement saying Andrea's arrest is an important step in getting justice for him, but they say they find no joy in this, of course, because they do still, they lost a family member. I want to talk about this turn of events now with defense attorney Brian Claypool. Brian, great to see you. It's been 4 months since Hemi Newman was convicted. Who can forget the Olivia Newton-John, Barry White statement? It was quite bizarre. Do you think this was a long time coming? It's been 4 months. The charges are extensive. There's a 19-page indictment. Are you surprised that it took that long, or were they going through it meticulously?
Well, actually, I'm surprised that it happened so quickly because the case is really grounded on circumstantial evidence. There's very little direct or tangible evidence that links Andrea Snyderman to the actual shooting. And then you have Hemi Newman. He's even admitting that he pulled the trigger and he was motivated by demons. He wasn't motivated by Andrea Snyderman. So I think the district attorney's office might have pulled the trigger too quickly here, because you're only going to get one shot at convicting her.
Even with the 19-page indictment, I mean, it is very specific, saying even attempted murder because she gave Hemi Newman her husband's schedule leading to the murder. This is very specific.
Well, look, I'd love to say that there's a mountain of evidence to convict her, but the only evidence that I've seen is circumstantial. It gives a perception that she had something to do with the actual murder, but you're not going to see any voicemail messages, you're not going to see any emails, you're not going to see any admissions by Andrea Snyderman. And the problem the prosecution has in this case is they can't rely on anything that Hemi Newman is saying, because he's been declared mentally ill. So they can't bring him in and say, hey, she told me to do this. Hey, she wanted me to kill her husband. So I think, I'm kind of on the fence on this. I think it's going to be a hard case. If a jury in this case focuses just on the evidence, it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, for the prosecution, because it is really circumstantial. And she didn't call, by the way, when she got a phone call from the school, they said there's an accident, your son's okay. Andrea didn't pick the phone up immediately and call her husband, and I think that actually helps her defense, because if she knew that her husband had actually been shot, then she would have faked it and called and acted like she was all worried about it. Hey, honey, are you okay? She didn't call him, and the argument could be made that it's because she was not aware that something had happened to him, so why would she have to call?
You bring up some great points. She was on the stand in the trial against Hemi Newman. Want to play part of that? Let's listen.
It was unfathomable and unbelievable that it could be him. Someone that proposed to care about me, care about Rusty, care about my family, be a normal guy, be my boss, and he murdered my husband.
All right, she took the stand, Brian. Can they use that against her, what she said in Hemi Newman's trial?
Well, she clearly denies having an affair with Hemi Newman. Where's the, I mean, remember that movie, Jerry Maguire, the comment, where, show me the money? Well, in this case, show me.
Well, the DA,
I think that was Cuba Gooding Jr.
Right,
but
the DA is saying
show me the
we're holding
evidence.
back in terms of the evidence. We're not going to try this with the media, so
Well,
it seems as though he's holding back the evidence for the trial to prosecute her.
Well, but they have released evidence that supports a probable cause affidavit to arrest her. We're seeing most of the evidence. I'm not saying she's an angel, Andrea Seiderman.
Right, but you're saying the evidence may not be there. I do want to read this. This is from the defense. Sorry, Brian. This is from the defense attorneys of Hemi Newman. They say that this is a clear confirmation of our defense that she is an adulterer, a liar, a master manipulator. So they are saying that this goes in point to our defense, that it's all about this woman. There's her mugshot. We shall see. This is a very complicated case. I get your point that you say, you know, the evidence may not be there, the smoking gun, if you will. Brian Claypool, we know we're going to have you back on this one. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for having me.
And